It's me again. You guys, give it up for Danye Taylor because she dropped some absolute gems. I started in this business when we were doing film, not digital, when we had MySpace and I had a sidekick. So we need people like her to teach us the things that we need to understand with this hyperconnectivity and the beauty and the fashion that we are seeing across the board when it comes to our social platforms. And learning the little bitty tricks are the things. So thank you. I learned so much from her. That was an amazing conversation. And you guys have been an amazing audience today. Obviously, we didn't. I love you more. Thank you. Well, we didn't anticipate such an amazing turnout. So some people are in the back standing. You are still here. You are still vibing with us. The frequency is high. So I want to thank you, audience, live streaming, the ones that are at home, the ones that are physically here, all the fashions that I see, all the artists in the room, the content curators, all of those things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We also have to thank our sponsors, like growing a family, like anything you do, like growing a business, it takes a village, it takes supporters. And so I have to take this moment to say thank you so much to this year's Essence Fashion House partners, Diet Coke. That's a big deal, y'all. Diet Coke, give it up for them. McDonald's, Black and Positively Golden Change of Fashion, and Smart Water. And I have to say thank you to Essence. My first cover of Essence was in 2005. It's been a long time, but they still play with your girl. So thank you so much, Essence, for loving on me the way you do. I love you the way you love me. Now, y'all good out there? You still good? Because we have one more panel. Now, this is the panel I know everyone has been waiting for. This is the moment. We are getting close to the end, but we are not done yet. Up next, we are going to break down what it really takes to turn a design into a viral, trending moment that everyone is talking about without compromising your brand's integrity. So to kickstart that conversations, we have Essence Ventures President and CEO Caroline Wanga and Head of Social Corey Jarvis, along with Ferg. Come on, baby. Yes, Caroline Wanga. You don't need this outfit anymore. You can give it to me, the cowrie and everything. Hello. And I believe there is the one, the only, the legendary. He's not a myth, he's a living legend. Where is my Dapper Dan? Yes! Everything. Okay. I'm sorry, I was just fanning out. Enjoy.
We should all be fanning out. If y'all don't know who this is, you better Google it.
Yeah.
If y'all don't understand why we're freaking out right now, Google it. You're in the presence of a legend. And it's not you that decides if he's a legend.
Wow, thank y'all. Y'all made me, so I don't know what y'all clapping for. I gotta clap for y'all.
That's what they call humble. Clapping for you. Caroline Wanga here from Essence Ventures along with Corey Jarvis. We're not going to spend a lot of time introducing this because the presence of the two people we have with us today is what you came to see and what you need to learn. I'm going to tell you up front, I expect you to take one thing you're going to do from what they each say today. Otherwise, you've wasted your time.
Yep.
All right? So today we're going to have a fantastic conversation. I am going to have Corey Jarvis introduce one of our panelists, then I will introduce the legend, and we will ask our first question, and they will enlighten us all with the way in which they impact the world. Corey Jarvis, do your thing.
All right, so we're gonna start off with no other than Ferg, who also is a founding member of Harlem's ASAP Mob. Ferg was initially the group's main clothing designer. Yeah, give it up. Absolutely. All right, so Ferg was initially
Are they taking members? No, I can't get in? Go ahead.
Am I talking to you?
Go.
Okay, got it. All right. So Ferg was initially the group's main clothing designer, but after teaming with Mob member A$AP Rocky, he became one of the crew's breakout rappers. Ferg also channeled his uniqueness into success, hitting the top 10 charts with proper studio albums, Trap Lord, give it up for Trap Lord, and Always Strive and Prosper. Then in 2020, his single off of Floor Seats 2, Move Your Hips, hit the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Ferg is a truly unique and multifaceted artist. Y'all give it up for Ferg.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you something when don't nobody know your last name, but they know what you've done in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a name that if you don't know, you should be ashamed.
Absolutely.
Because we talk about the people that have gotten us to where we are, but we don't always understand who they were. So ladies and gentlemen, sitting in front of us today is an author, a global fashion icon, with a remarkable story of taking culture to places that didn't think it could go until he took it there. Dapper Dan pioneered streetwear in the early 1980s. If you don't know what that is, it was before you were born. With his store on 125th Street, which is in where? Thank you very much. Co-opting luxury branding to design original garments with high-end detail. Dapper Dan first drew powerful New York City hustlers as clientele who flocked to him thanks to his strong street reputation as a legendary professional gambler. He then went on to outfit the world's top entertainer celebrity, all leading to his notoriety. But here's what Caroline's gonna add. And every single one of them luxury brands that was looking at him funny is using him now.
Right now.
Am I lying, sir?
No, you're telling the truth on that one.
Come on. So we're gonna start by giving an opportunity for the Dapper Dan to talk about what I believe is what we choose to wear when we feel our best is our armor for the purpose we're supposed to deliver in the world. When I'm wearing what I like, I have capacity to change the world. When I'm wearing what I don't like, I have less capacity because I'm worried about how I look. Dapper Dan, you have had a storied career that has demonstrated monumental change, not just in black culture, but in culture total. What does the way that you choose to dress or dress others have to do with how you fulfill your purpose in the world? If you are not taking notes, start now.
Right now.
Well, when it comes to my dressing, I dress for the mission. What I mean by that is like, depending where I'm going, if I have to do a Wall Street thing, then I do a Wall Street thing. And what I do, I embrace the culture. So I grew up in Harlem doing various musical genres, right? So when Calypso was hot, I had a Calypso look. You know, in Harlem we have Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, African Americans, and I embrace all parts of the culture. So when I'm hanging out with my Dominican friends, I see how they dress. I want to impress them, so I look with that. I take that kind of look. And my Puerto Rican friends, like I go to La Marqueta on Saturday.
Yeah.
They're a little more conservative.
Yeah.
I dress like that. Wherever I'm going, I want to make an impression. And I want to make an impression by doing whatever they do, the best that they do it.
Yeah.
So people know that I'm diverse in how I create.
Yeah.
So wherever I'm at, Harlem is there.
Hey. So before we go to the next question, I listened to you meet somebody backstage, and when you met her, you started to give her some guidance about how you should walk into a room or walk into a space, and you gave this very poignant note about giving yourself real estate in another person's head. Can you explain that? Because I thought it was sage advice.
Yep. And I need to tell, all the young people need to do that. When they come up to me, the first thing, when a young person comes up to me and asks me a question, saying they want to be into fashion, the first thing I ask them is, what have you read? What have you found out before you came to me? And from that point, I could proceed to where I could take them. But I noticed that when I go to a lot of events, I'm most impressed by the young people on the sidelines and say, Dapper Dan, I heard your thing on the Breakfast Club, or Dapper Dan, I heard this thing. So the more information you have on a person that you want to emulate in your life, you should do homework on them. Even like I told them, you come here tonight. Whoever you're with, you tell them to point out who the important people are. And then you go right, y'all blessed now. You can go right to the phone and press and get information from them. You pick out a line and you go up to that person and say, wow, I was so impressed with what you did, so-and-so, and you make it short. But when a person like myself, who's an entertainer important, you made a connection, and therefore you have real estate in that person's mind, as opposed to just running up to a person and you don't know anything about them. That's very important. You want to get, if you knew, you want to get your information of who you are into their mind, if you want to be like them.
What I love is that real estate appreciates. So at the point that you get real estate in somebody's mind, it only grows from there. Sir, am I right?
You're absolutely right. And
Thought I would be.
wherever I go, like clients come to me, I have a young guy come to me. I don't know who all the rappers are, but I keep a young person on me. I say, who's that one? Who's this one? Who's that one? And
Can we get some
I do
silence in the
same
back
thing.
out of respect, please? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I make sure that I have some information. When I'm dressing a rapper or whoever I'm dressing, I get all the information on them before they come so we can have a conversation. To me, the most important thing is to be able to communicate with whoever you're dressing, to know something about them. That makes them more comfortable and gives a medium for them to understand you and for you to understand them.
Love that. Love that.
Let's take it back to Harlem. Harlem, y'all here? I think we have two of Harlem's finest up here definitely today. So my question is to Ferg. There's not a
Hold
lot
on,
of
Corey.
time.
If you need to have a conversation, please leave the room. We are trying to ensure that we're having a conversation about what we're here to do for Fashion House. Didn't want to have to do it, but gave a warning. Now I just got to say it. If it's that important, please step outside to speak and respect the panel. Go ahead.
All right. Well, all right, going back to Harlem. Okay, so I don't think a lot of times people really understand or give credit to black men and their presence in black men's life. So how did your father play a major role in your fashion and just your career?
Well, my father is the first person that I paid attention to as far as clothes was concerned. Like, because I wasn't dressing like my mom. Not that it's a problem dressing like your mom, but, you know, my dad was like, fix your pants like this, wear your boots like this. And one of the main things that stuck out to me was my dad always got me things that all the other kids wasn't wearing. So I was like, oh, I have to be different. I have to be not different, but myself. He taught me how to be myself. I was really being him because I didn't know how to be myself at that time. But like he taught me like, oh, like it really just hit me as like a 35-year-old man that like, oh, he was teaching me how to be innovative and different. So like, for example, he brought me all the Jordans that all the kids had. I had the 8s, the Bugs Bunny ears on them and all.
Everybody know what that is?
Yeah, the Jordan 8s.
Let's just check it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I got those. I had like 2 pair of them, killed them, playing tag, manhunt. I'm a little kid. And then I went to a birthday party. He put me in a camouflage suit, all army fatigue, and he brought me some Air Raids, Nikes, black, white, and gray. And I was like, these is dope, but I want to wear my Jordans like the other kids. So I've been sitting in a party mad tight, but not really realizing everybody's been coming up to me, giving me compliments because I look different from everybody.
An individual.
Exactly. So that's one of the main things he taught me when it came to clothes, and also just how to be an elegant man. You know, he taught me about streetwear, and he taught me how to wear my own clothes. He was like, yeah, you could buy all of this stuff. You know, he brought me Versace sweaters and Vanson jackets and all of the stuff you could think about, but it was nothing cooler than wearing Ferg apparel.
Yeah. Give it up. Give it up for black men, yeah.
So Dapper Dan, some may know your story, some may not, but we've talked about where your origin story in Harlem is. And I just love the fact that all of these brands back then that you were working with now are trying to continue to get their fingers on you. In this day and age, you're in partnerships. Can you talk a little bit about that transition? Because it was a transition. You had a very different relationship with them in the beginning, and now you're such a critical part of how they're making money. How did that happen, and how did you feel about it?
Well, I'm lucky. I think I attribute a lot of my success to my brothers and through watching them experience music in different levels of music, you know, like from jazz, R&B, hip hop, rock, all those different musical genres opened my eyes. But I think what opened my eyes the most was when my brothers and them was involved with jazz. I looked at who they looked up to and why they looked up to them and how those persons dress. And this is how I figured out what I was gonna do with the rappers, right? So my brother and them like a group of jazz musicians like called the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr.,
Google it.
yeah, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, all those greats. And I noticed that they bought the clothes and wanted to dress like them. I said, oh, so this is where it started, right? Music is the other side of the coin to fashion.
Ooh, say that again.
Music is the other side of the coin to fashion. So I said, all the hip people want to dress like the musicians. And the gangsters want to dress like them as well, right? So I said, okay, I have to figure this out. When did this start? So I wanted to know exactly when did fashion and music come together. So I started studying the history of how that came about. And I went all the way back to the swing era when Cab Calloway, Dizzy Gillespie and them. And what was the first suits that they started to wear? What was the first thing that made the trend? I said, oh, you know, in the old ballrooms in Harlem, they used to, black people didn't have that much money, so they used to go to the pawn shop or the thrift shop and get these oversized suits. They take these oversized suits so when they go to the ballroom, they could dance and do flips with them, right?
No.
I said, oh, that's it. So a guy in Harlem got this idea, why don't I just make them like that? So this guy in Harlem started making them like that, right? And that was the creation of the zoot suit. So now I'm following the history of the zoot suit. So the jazz musicians, now here's a new musical genre that's coming about. The jazz musicians got together, go to Cuba, and formulate this new musical genre called Afro-Cuban jazz, which is what we call salsa today. So when the jazz musicians go down to Cuba, the Cubans pick up the zoot suits, right? The Cubans take the zoot suits and go into Mexico. The Mexicans picked up the zoot suits and go into California, you know? And that's when all the Mexican, what you call the pachucos, and they started, and then the Italians started wearing them. The Filipinos started wearing them, and all of them now. I said, oh, so this is how it's born. So that's when I learned the connection between fashion and music. So by the time hip-hop came along, I'm all ready for where they ready to go. They didn't have no particular dress. They was trying to put things together. So I say, what does a hip-hop artist want to be? A hip-hop artist, you know, actually wants to be a gangster. You know, they take on gangster names, right? They buy stuff gangsters had, them big cars, the diamonds and everything. You know, I said, okay, so they want to be like the gangster.
Well, wait, is this facts?
Well, I don't want to be a gangster, but I understand what he's saying.
No.
I do. I come from a real place with a real lineage that I could mimic, so I don't have to be a gangster.
Yeah. See, that's my nephew right there. But even if they don't want to be a gangster, it's the subliminal stuff that they attract to. When you got the diamonds, you got the cars, you got the money, you got the jewelry, all that's gangster paraphernalia. You understand? There ain't nothing wrong with that, but it stems from gangster culture. All right, so I looked at that. So the first rappers that came, they came with gangsters, you know, and they wanted to dress like gangsters. So, okay. But y'all have to wait out to the store. When the gangsters come out, then you can come in. And they would ask me, well, what did the gangsters wear? So I would dress them like the gangsters. And from that, I built on. But one thing was missing. I used to do luxury stuff, you know, with exotic skins, gators, crocodiles, minks, and things like that. But one day, the #1 gangster in Harlem, Jack Jackson, came in. Jack Jackson's the guy who told on John Gotti's brother. He came in. He had this mean Mercedes-Benz he used to park out front, all souped up. Whenever he came, everybody would crowd around the store. And he had a Louis Vuitton pouch full of $100 bills. So when he started taking them $100 bills out, everybody's looking at that pouch. And at that time, a lot of people wasn't even familiar with European brands. And they got excited about that pouch. I say, I'm making all this fancy stuff. I say, but that pouch ain't nothing but $5 worth of vinyl.
Y'all hear that?
Then it occurred to me, I say, wait a minute. I had already been studying religion, and through religion, symbols. I say, it ain't really the pouch, it's the symbols. I say, if I can take them symbols and have everybody walking around looking like luggage, I can make more off that.
Hashtag that, looking like luggage in these
I
streets
said,
as a gangster.
I can make more off that than the alligators, the crocodiles, and the minks. You know, so I taught myself textile printing, and I went to work. You know, I just made. After I got through making shoes and jackets, I started doing furniture and cars, and that's how I took off. But the key to all of this is paying attention to the culture. Where does the culture want to go? You know, I do not dictate fashion. I translate culture.
So, Ferg, you are in the music genre as well as fashion. So what is your story about the connection to music to fashion?
Well, I wanted to add that, like, I thought about his question,
Yeah.
your question to Dap, and how he added that, like, fashion is inspired by, like, gangsters. When you think about it, because he's coming from a different era
Yeah.
of, like, when LL Cool J used to come to Harlem and want to be, like, the drug dealers and all of that stuff. Now kids that's coming up, they want to be like the rappers. But before the rappers, it was the drug dealers. So it was gangsters. But the reason why I say I don't think of myself dressing like a gangster, because I'm looking at my family members and like the guys that was in the streets. They might have been doing gangster things, but I didn't look at them like that. So yes, I am inspired by gangster stuff. So like he was right when it came to that. But like now it transcended into something else. Just like how hip hop transcended into something else. And you know, now we could go to Louis Vuitton fashion show and you got Dapper Dan inspired like jackets and you know, Gucci, he coming to Harlem to sit down with Dapper Dan on his couch in a brownstone and talking about a collaboration. So now it's blurred lines between what's gangster. You know, you got Rick Owen, Shiesties. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So they get it all from us. They looking at our little cousins' Instagrams. Like I literally went to Pierre Pablo's Artillery in Paris. And he showed me his mood board. He's like, yo, I want you to see these models walk. And he showed me like the mixed camos that they had on and that the feathers he added on the hat. And I'm like, these silhouettes look familiar. And he's like, yeah. And I was on his mood board. Like my Instagram photos was on his mood board. So it's like, you know, I tell my uncle all the time, T. Ferg, I mean, he's like one of the flyest guys I know. Just because your followers is like, you know, low or whatnot, these people are still looking at your Instagram and they getting a lot of motivation and they making a lot of money off your silhouettes and your looks. So it's important that if you're a designer or a stylist or creative, monetize off your looks and your silhouettes because God gave you that creation for a reason.
And over here at Essence Ventures, we believe the revolution must be financed at full value.
Hello.
I don't know if I answered your question. I don't know if I answered
It's okay. You still can answer it, but I do want you
I don't even remember it.
I was just saying, what's your connection between music and fashion? You can still answer, but I would love for you to just say a little bit more about that ownership component and that. And Dan, I know you have the same thought around we are often a culture, right, that is looked at for what is really on trend, what is considered to be what people want. What isn't always happening is the full value of what we contributed being returned to us in the form of wealth. I don't care about hugs and in-kind gifts. I'm talking about money. And we know that there's a lot more value sitting on the floor of the brands that take things from our culture than should be. So what do you guys have as thoughts, ideas, advice for how we make sure that our cultural influence, whether I have 10 Instagram followers or 10 million, make sure that gets returned to us with the value that then continues to build black wealth within our community?
For sure. I don't like to think of it like as like other people taking, because that's kind of like a victim's mentality.
Fair enough.
I feel like everybody just gets inspired from everybody. We all like walk in the street and see each other, white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian. So it's like we all get inspired from one another. Just like I might go to Japan and get inspired by like what they wear out there and bring it back to Harlem and use some materials to make a jacket. So I think that it's just important that we know that we don't own the corner stores, a lot of the corner stores that's on our corner where we buying our chips, our juices and waters, or the Chinese stores we buying Chinese food from, or like these clothing stores, H&M, Zara, all of these places, not coming at anybody. So like the black dollar is not staying in our community, literally. Like I watched this show on Killer Mike, and he did an experiment where he said, I'm gonna try to live off the black dollar for 24 hours. And it was super hard for him. He wound up having to ride a bike because the Uber company is not owned by a black person. Like he had to find a black supermarket, literally, which was like in West Bubba. So he had to ride like 12 miles out just to go to a black supermarket, which didn't have certain foods. So it's like, you know, and then when it came to clothes, it's like, think about how many black designers we have available in our location. Like, so when you think about it like that, because I'm thinking about it like that, whenever I go into a store and I'm, you know, purchasing something, I'm like, damn, is this money staying in my community? And that's when you start understanding self a little bit more and your power. And then I'm thinking like, oh, I got 5-point-something million followers. I'm either buying or I'm selling. So like whenever you post on Instagram, that's all y'all TV show. I'm tuning into all y'all. I might randomly go into anyone Instagram and I'm on y'all stories like a TV show. So if you wearing Nike and you flexing that shit, it's making me want to buy Nike. So you either selling or you buying. And I don't want to sell. I mean, I don't want to buy. I want to sell. So when I go on my Instagram, I'm wearing my shit.
Which is ownership.
Yeah.
Dan, what do you have?
That subject, that's like the biggest dilemma in the fashion industry. How do you create the market that we can penetrate and buy from ourselves? Well, what do people want to wear? They want to wear things that transforms them, because the essence of fashion is to transform you. And that's a lesson that I learned. The first lesson I learned, man, I grew up holes in my shoes and raggedy and in the worst building in Harlem. But when I got an outfit and I went to 125th Street, nobody knew where I lived.
Ah.
You know, they didn't know I had holes in my shoes. So it's the transformative power of fashion that makes the difference, right? But the fashion has to be something that people look at you and say, oh, you know, and give you and instill on you that dignity that you want to have, all right? But where we get confused at is, how do we get to a point where our own people want to wear us?
And pay for it.
We failed that. We failed that because they didn't pay the attention to the blueprint, right? When I first opened up my store, everybody, I said, I'm not gonna try to create, and you designers need to listen to this carefully. I'm not gonna try to create only from myself. I'm gonna extract from the people in the community and from the culture. So if you wanna have longevity, you have to like create from your mind, but leave that space where you tap into the culture. Because people know what they want to look like. You might not know. And your ideas might really be great, but they might not be now ideas. You know, that works all right for artists like Basquiat, you know, but he ain't a guy with no money with an artist. But with fashion, you can't do that. You know, you have to understand how to sell. When all the black brands, when they ran me underground and all the black brands opened up, they did cookie cutter clothing, you know? So they came about, they had black people buying them, and then they all crashed. Why they crashed? Because they walked away from the culture. They depended too much on how they saw fashion should be as opposed to what people wanted to look like. So you have to extract from your mind, but more so from the culture if you want to stay relevant. All right, on top of that, we have to get into those spaces where we can be more creative. You know, a lot of the young people, they run out and start t-shirt brands. What you have to do, we have to make sure we get inside and understand how a garment is made. You know, and so how we can produce something that we all want to wear. We don't, you know, we can't get ahead by doing things that's behind.
That's a word. So I'm gonna make a statement and then give each of our panelists an opportunity to kind of give last words because I know we're running tight on time. But I'm gonna do a plug that's not shameless. It's for your own good. So we have a lot of things that we do at Essence Ventures and the Sundial group of companies. One of the passions we have to help anybody who is interested in being an entrepreneur, getting your business off the ground, improving your business, pick a thing. We have a ton of free resources that are to help you get the information, the training, the connection to build whatever business is your business. So whether it be on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, I want you to go to the New Voices family. I want you to go to that handle. You will see there how to get connected to. They have webinars and other things on everything from financing to legal to retail to food. And that is not just a foundation with resources, but it's also the place where a lot of the black brands that you are now seeing and enjoying got their training. The Lip Bar and Slutty Vegan and Honey Pot came from the same place. So we are serious about it here, and we offer those as a free resource to you to get you all the information you need to start your black business. But Dan said that doesn't mean you sell to just black people. And so the idea is to also give you the best chance to get the full value of what your business offers to as wide of a customer group as you can globally. There is no cost to participate in those things. Please go visit the New Voices family so that whatever kind of entrepreneur you are, the resources will most certainly make you better.
Yeah,
So Dan and Ferg, last words.
I just want to close in saying, remember, we're winning when they copy us, not when we copy them.
I mean, you got at least 4 hashtags.
Noted. Yeah.
Ferg, close us out.
I just want to say I appreciate you guys for coming tonight. It's good. I was just like looking at everybody. There's so much flavor and style on everybody in here. And whatever you're doing creative-wise, keep doing it. Push to the top. Lock in. Don't be on Instagram too much. Lock into your world. Build your world out. And, you know, we'll be living in your world.
Revolution must be financed at full value. We are fashion, but we are also a movement. We are culture. We are driving things. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Fashion House.
Thank you.
All right, thank you once again. This was the 2024 Essence Hollywood Essence Fashion House. Give it up one more time for Caroline Wanga, Ferg, Dapper Dan, and Corey Jarvis. All right, as you're making your way out, remember, use the hashtag